Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Okay, so we'll just do Sakthaath. Rada?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay,
Yes.
so what was sect? We did, when we did ibtida, again, we repeated what is qata' and what is waqf, right? What is sect?
Yes. Step is pause.
Yeah, so what is pausing and what is stopping?
Without letting out of breath.
Yeah, without letting your breath out, right? So in waqf and in qata', what happens is you pause, I mean you stop and you breathe, right? When you
Yeah.
do a sect, you do not let out the breath, okay? You just pause for some time and you resume your recitation, right? Okay,
Yes.
so now in our recitation, which is Hafs an Aasim, من طريقة الشاطبي, we have 4 sektat that are wajib. Yeah? So one is in Kahf, عوجة. Then you have Surah Yasin, مرقدنا. Okay? And then in Surah Qiyamah, وقيل من راق. And Surah Mutaffifin, كلا بل رَانَ. Yeah. So these are the 4 sektat that are wajib. Yeah. But of course, in these 2 cases, you can even stop. You can do waqf, right? Because here it is the end of the ayah. Yeah. And stopping at the end of an ayah is sunnah, right? In Surah Kahf, the sect comes at iwaja, and iwaja is the last word in that ayah, right? And here,
Yeah.
there is a waqf here. And stopping here gives it a complete meaning. Okay, marqadina, and then hada ma wa'adana, right? So these 2 cases you could even stop, as in doing a waqf and you could breathe, that's fine. Yeah. But in these 2 cases, the only option is sect, right? So you pause and you do not let your breath out and you move on to the next word after a gap, right? So these are the 4 cases where the sect is wajib, right?
Yes.
Now, these are the 2 cases where you have, I mean, sect is one of the options, right? So one is between Anfal and Tawba. So what is unique about this?
There's no basmala
There is
in
no
Tawbah.
basmala at the beginning of Surah Tawbah, right? So now, what are the different ways of reciting it? We'll do that later, inshallah, in detail. But just understand that sect is one of the options. Yeah. So when you say, Inna Allah bi kulli shay'in alim, bara'atum. Yeah.
Yeah.
So sect is one of the options of joining between the last ayah of Surah Anfal and the beginning of Surah Tawbah, right? Now, another place, it's here where you have in Surah Al-Haqqa, ما أغنى عني مالية هلك عني, right? So here, sect is an option. Yeah. Again, you could just stop at the end of the ayah. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now we come to between, I'll just go in details between Surah Anfal and Tawbah, right? Now, that's the last ayah of Surah Al-Anfal, and that's the beginning of Surah Tawbah. Now, first, of course, we have the option of waqf. How would you recite that with waqf?
Stop there.
Okay, can you just recite that?
Yes. إن الله بكل شيء عليم براءة من الله ورسوله.
Yeah. So that was waqf. Now with sect,
إن الله بكل شيء عليم براءة من الله
yeah,
ورسوله.
barakallahu fiki. And wasl,
إن الله بكل شيء عليم براءة من
yeah.
الله ورسوله.
Okay. So what do we do here?
إدغام.
إدغام,
No,
رضا.
sorry. إخفاء شفوي. إدغام شفوي. إخفاء شديد.
Seriously. رضا رضا. Tanween followed by ba.
تن-
This is not meme sukoon followed by ba. This is
آه
tanween followed by ba. إقلاب. Have you forgotten all this?
لا
قلب. Right? عليم
yeah.
براءة. Right? Yeah, so don't forget these. Okay, so these are three options we have to recite between Surah Anfal and Surah Tawbah. So another thing you have to remember here is uh, we have done Roman Ishmam, right?
Yes. Mm.
Yeah. So you could apply Rom and Ishmam here because this is a Dhamma. Yeah. So if you have any doubts, please refer to the chapter on Rom and Ishmam. Okay, so because this letter ends with a dhamma, I mean, the letter has a dhamma on it, you could
Mm.
have both Rom and Ishmam also. So you could say, if it is Rom, how would you do this, Rida?
Um, عليم.
إن
It's
الله
later.
بكل شيء عليم. عليم. The mu should come quickly, right?
Yeah.
And you say براءة من الله, right?
Yes.
And if it was ishmam, you give a
Um,
sukoon at meme, you stop at, you close your lips, sukoon, and immediately bring your lips forward like you're doing a dhamma without the sound. Alim, براءة. Yeah. So you do
yeah.
not see it. Yeah. It's an action that can be seen only if the person is in front of you, right? Now,
Mm.
so if it was ishmam, I can give this med. I can stretch it 2, 4, or 6, right? Because
Yeah.
ishmam follows the rules of waqf, right?
Mm.
Yeah. And if it is rawm,
Two
how much
point
of med do I give here?
two.
Only 2 harakat, right? Because rawm follows the rules of wasl, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So again, so you have the option of 2, 4, and 6 with ishmam. And if I'm going to just do waqf, I can still give 2, 4, and 6. And if I'm going to do rawm, I would give it 2 harakas. Okay. So if you want to make it a little more confusing, okay, you can understand that there are 7 options just in Waqf, right? Because you see some books where it's mentioned like 15 options of reciting between Anfal and Tawbah. But I mean, it broadly just understand that these are the 3 options, right? And the 3 options for when you're stopping and when you're doing sect, you also have the option of Raub and Ishmam. Okay. Is that is clear enough, right? So I don't want to confuse it,
Yeah.
but you have to know that when it is ishmam, again the mudud, it would where you can give 2, you can give it 4, you can give it 6, and when you're stopping, also you can give it 2, you can give it 4, and you can give it 6, right?
Mm.
The
Yeah.
same thing with sect, right? Even when you're doing sect, right, you can give it rawm and you can give ishmam also. Okay, so you have all those various options when you're doing sect also. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. And when you're doing wasl, of course, you just have that one option, which is iqlab. Okay. Alimun bara'atun. Right? So that is
Yeah.
clear. The different
Yes.
ways of joining between uh, Anfal and Tawbah. Okay. Now we come to Imala. What is al-Imala?
Tilt.
Sorry?
Tilt.
Tilting. Yeah. So what is a tilt? Now, when we say, uh, when you give a fatha to an alif or a ba, how would you pronounce it? Would you say be or ba? Ba.
But yeah.
Ba. Okay, the sound is
But
straight. we're talking about the light letters, yeah, not the heavy letters. I'm not talking about ho, okay, ho. Just the light letters. If you're giving it a fatha, it is at a certain angle, yeah. Now
mm,
that angle is closer to the alif. Now imagine you have alif and you have this ya. These are the two extremes, yeah. Now in between
mm,
you have different degrees of imala, yeah. Now,
mm,
assuming this is the 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 direction of the sound when you're giving a light letter, a fatha, like you're saying sa, sha, yeah. A little more than that would be imalat as-sughra, and further, when you give a further tilt, that would be imalat al-kubra. Okay, so imalat al-kubra, you see, it is closer to the ya, yeah.
mm,
It's closer to the E sound than to the sound, right? Now, this we just have this one word in our recitation, which is Hafs al-Asim. We just have this one word, which is majireha. Okay, and when you give the imala, the raw would be light. Okay, we don't say majireha, although there
mm,
are recitations where you don't give an imala, it's majaroha. That is another recitation. But when we give the imala, the raw would be light. Yeah, it would
right.
be tarqiq of the ra. Majriha, right? So we only have this one example of imala, and which is imalat al-kubra. Imalat al-sughra we do not have in our recitation. Okay, so it's very important that when we recite the light letters, try not to give it that imala. I mean, there is this tendency to sometimes, give a letter that tilt when it's not required. Like, especially when you have a lean letter, like if you have a kaf with a fatha followed by ya,
Mm,
kayfa. Instead of say kayfa, you say kayfa, kayfa. Oh, that's an imala. Okay, that's wrong.
yeah,
Laysa,
mm,
laysa lakum. The laysa and lakum, the two lambs in laysa and lakum should be the same. Okay, again, the first case, when it is followed by ya sukun, there is this tendency to say laysa, laysa, lay. Okay, that's an imala. Right? We sometimes call it taqleel. So that is not the right way to recite. Yeah?
yeah, okay.
So that's about it, what we have in imala. What are the other topics we had, Rada? I'll
Uh,
just quickly do these words that are unique to Hafs and Asim. Yeah? I'll just,
Ta'at, I think.
sorry,
Ta'at, this topic,
I did not get that. What did you say?
Ta'at,
التاءات. Okay,
mm,
التاءات and
yeah,
مقطوع الموصولة. Okay,
yeah,
we'll keep that for another video. We'll just do this quickly, inshallah. These are words that are
yeah,
unique, right, to our recitation. So, yeah. Okay. Now, where have you come across this word, ضعف?
so,
الله الذي خلقكم من ضعف ثم جعل من بعد ضعف قوة. روم. Yeah.
room, yeah,
So we have this in Rome. Now, it is written, Bod is written with a fatha, but we have the option of giving the Bod a Dhamma also. Okay? Dorfin, okay? Or Dorfin, right? So we have the option of giving the Bod a fatha or a Dhamma, but the fatha is the preferred recitation. Okay? So these are the two options we have for this
yeah,
particular word, only in Surat Rum, Rum 54. Yeah, we do have this word being
yeah,
repeated in other surahs, but we don't have that option, right? The option is only in Surat Rum. Now, again, now Surat An-Naml, ayah number 36, we have this word. Yeah?
سليمان.
Can you recite this for me, Rudha?
Yes. فلما جاء سليمان قال أتمدونني بمال فما آتاني الله
Yeah. فَمَا
آتاني الله.
آتَانِيَ اللَّهُ. Okay, so there is this ya here, right? This ya here, and that ya is given a fatha. آتَانِيَ. Now, that is when you're reciting, when you're doing wasl, when you're joining with the next word. Now, what if you're going to stop here? If I'm going to stop at
آتاني.
this word, yeah, the ya would be given a sukoon because any word, when you stop at a word, you give the last letter a sukoon. So you have a ya sukoon preceded by a kasra. So that would be a madya, right? So
Yeah.
you either
Yeah.
say atani, right, where you give the ya a
Mm.
sukoon, or you have the option of just removing or omitting that ya altogether. So when you remove that ya, what happens?
آتاني.
The
No
noon,
سكون.
the noon becomes the last letter, right? And the noon is given a
Yeah.
sukoon. So it becomes atan, right? So these are the two options you
Yes.
have, but that is only when you are stopping, right? When you're doing wasl,
Yeah.
you do not have that option. Okay.
Mm.
Now, Yusuf, number 20. What are the options of reciting this?
روم أنشمام.
Raum and Ishmam. Okay. Now, what happens in Raum? What is the origin of this word? Where you have the symbol between the meme and the noon, you have a symbol that is actually a noon with a dhamma.
Yes.
Yeah, that is not written there. So there is a noon with a dhamma there. Okay, so you could give a row and recite that dhamma very quickly and softly. That manuna, that manuna. No, you'd say the nu quickly, yeah, which is
Mm.
row.
Mm.
Oh, ishmam, where you stop at that noon, this noon in between, which is not written. Yeah. You stop there, give it a sukoon, bring your lips forward, give it the maximum ghunna, and then that men, yeah, without the sound. So the lips would be protruding without the dhamma sound, right? So that is
Mm.
ishmam. So you could give either rom or ishmam for this particular word, right?
Yeah.
Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
This word, what is the rule here?
إدغام.
Idgham
Uh,
mutajanisain,
إد-
because ba
yeah.
and meen come from the same makhraj, right? Now ba is a sukun. Now if I'm going to stop at this word, it would be
اركب.
irkab. Yeah, you give the qalqala. But if I'm going to join, the ba merges with the meme, okay? And the meme has a shadda. You do not pronounce the ba at all. Irkam ma'ana. Yeah, you give the maximum ghunna.
Yeah.
There is no ba. Ba has completely merged into the meme. Okay, you don't pronounce a ba, you just pronounce a meme with a shadda, right? So
Yes.
that is that. Now the same thing here. Again,
إدغام.
tha and dhal come from the same makhraj, right? The same point. So what happens when you're going to stop here? Yalhath. You pronounce the tha, give it the rahawa time. But if I'm going to merge it, then there is no tha. Okay, you do not pronounce tha, you just give dhal a shadda. يلهث ذلك. Yeah, that's an A'raf 176. Right. Now, what about this?
بمسيطر.
Mhm. Now you have مسيطر and you have مسيطرون here. You have a small صاد, I mean a small scene, right?
Yes.
Now, how do you pronounce this? Wherever you have this
مصيب.
with, yeah, you have the option of pronouncing both, either the sod or the
Yeah,
sin, okay? But it is
yeah,
preferred to pronounce the sod in this case, right?
yeah. Yes.
Okay. What about this one?
Yeah, it is preferred to pronounce seen.
The sin. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
بسط.
yeah.
يبسط.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Now what about this one?
نخلقكم. هي لسه
Okay.
إدغام.
Mm-hmm. What idgham?
إذ... إدغام متجانس.
No.
أكتاف.
Mutajanis is when they come from the same point. Qaf and kaf do not come from the same point.
غالبا.
Mutaqariban, they're close to each other, right? So here the
Mm,
qaf completely merges into the kaf. Nakhluqukum. Yeah, there is no qaf at all. Okay, you pronounce
mm.
kaf with a shadda in Surah Mursalat. And this we just did now. Majriha.
إمالة.
Yeah. Now what about this one? Infusilat.
تجويد
Okay. What is that?
أعجمي.
Say that again. A. أعجمي. أعجمي. Yeah. It is actually أعجمي. Okay. This is
Mm,
a همزة القطع, right? With a فتحة. There are two همزas. A. But in our recitation, in this particular word, we do not pronounce this hamza clearly. Okay. We give it tasheel.
mm,
We say أعجمي. أعجمي. We don't say أعجمي. We don't say أعجمي. We don't say أعجمي. Right? We give it
mm,
something called tasheel, which is a sound between the hamza and the mad alif in this case. Yeah?
mm.
Yeah? أعجمي. Right?
أع-
Yeah. Oh, now what about this?
ولا يكون كنز.
Hmm. If you're going to
ولا
stop here,
يكون ولا يكون
nah, what is that called? We give it the iwad,
مد.
right?
Mm,
The same thing here.
okay.
لنسفع
Mm.
وإذا. Yeah. But again, all this is going to be only for اختباري. We usually do not stop there. Yeah. Unless it's اختباري أو اضطراري. You're out of breath and you stop, right?
Mm, mm.
The same thing. أي. Yeah.
إيه. Mhm.
Okay. Alhamdulillah. So we're done with that. So we just have مقطوع الموصول, right?
Okay.
And التاءات. Apart from that, we finished everything. Inshallah.
Yes, inshallah.
Inshallah. بارك الله فيكي يا رضا. جزاك الله خيرا.
I just
I'm able to stop this.